Welcome, welcome. It is Monday, March 11th, 2024. We're going to go off script a little bit today. I'm going to tell you about my son, who I love very much. He and I share a lot of similar interests. He loves manga, he loves anime, cartoons, science fiction, fantasy, a lot of the same things that I love. And I love him dearly. But he's never really developed the same love of comics, predominantly in the big two like Marvel and DC, the way I have. I think of all the comic heroes you can think of, maybe Green Lantern, and he kind of subscribes to he has a weekly pull box or a monthly pull box, and he loves Green Lantern. I think there's something about the the idea of creating anything you want from your mind, just imagination compels him. But he's really into manga and anime. He knows them more than I do. He reads all the great stuff that you can think of from shonen, like Bleach, Naruto, you name it, he's read it, and he watches all the animes, and he's constantly on their hunt for where do I find the subbed version versus the English language translation version, and what have you. One Piece, all of it. He loves all of it. But of all the shonen series that are massive, and One Piece comes to mind, obviously, but Dragon Ball is huge, and he's read it from start to finish, going all the way back to number one, just from the original Dragon Ball all the way up to today. And we share that, and that's something between us as a father and a son. And that's the power of storytelling. That's why I love comics, and that's why we do what we do. And so this week was the passing of, sorry, Akira Toriyama. Now, I didn't know Toriyama-san personally, and I wasn't, it wasn't like I was following him on his newsletters or whatever letters he produced, or I was constantly looking for his autograph or anything like that. But he gave something to the world. He gave a story to the world, and that story is a bond that I share with my son. And if nothing else, I need to thank him for that. So thank you, Toriyama-san. Thank you for what you gave to the world. And I hope that from now on, everyone who is responsible for telling stories, whether they're manga or comics or anything else, that they realize that that's a responsibility that means a lot to a lot of people. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why I love this industry so much. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get choked up, but sometimes you don't realize you love things until they hit in a way that gets you right in the heart. You know what I mean? And so for the friends and family of Toriyama-san, you have my heartfelt condolences and my thank you for bringing something special to the world that helps bring people together, like it brought me together with my son. And he will be missed. And I hope that someday, either somebody I know, somebody who's out there, or even me, or even my son, will someday find a way to honor his legacy by continuing to tell stories, and continue to tell stories that mean something to somebody else, just like it means something to me. And so, no op-ed today. Ugh. But, and forgive me if I'm being weak and weepy and whatever else, but stories matter. And that's all I have to say. So a moment of silence, just pause the video, pause this audio, and take a moment of silence to appreciate what stories mean to you and what it means when somebody who's responsible for so many great stories has moved on. And we wish them well in whatever comes next. So, okay, sorry about that, but I just kind of felt like I had to get that off my chest. As far as the newsletter, which is why you predominantly come here, because this is our weekly newsletter, the reader poll that we submitted last week. We have the results, and the results for the poll, if you're not subscribed or you're not a member of our newsletter, I highly encourage you to do so. It's free. There's a link in the video description. There's a link to take you back to the newsletter where you can click on a button, subscribe. It's completely free. There's a paid version, which we would greatly appreciate if you participate in that, because it helps keep us running. But if you don't, subscribe to the basic tier, and we'd love to have you along. Last week we submitted a reader poll, and the reader poll was, now that we're doing videos both in video format and written format, do you also want that in audio format, where we can post that as part of our podcast newsfeed, because we take an audio version of this video and we put that on the podcast RSS feed? The answer is resoundingly yes. So, but it was yes, not the second option. There were two yeses. The yes was just post the videos. The second yes was post the videos, but batch them. So instead of getting a bunch of videos, you get groups of videos. The overwhelming answer was just yes, just post the reviews as we get them. And so we'll look to start incorporating that into our podcast feed, which will go out to all your favorite podcast players. Okay, so that's just the results for that. So let's talk about real quick, and I know this is going to be a short video today because we have an op-ed planned, but we decided because of Toriyama-san's passing that we should do something to acknowledge what he meant. So we're going to go back to our regular op-ed next week. One of the things that we're looking at in an upcoming video, I don't know if it's going to be for next week or not, because it takes a little bit more effort, is we're going to look at Global Comics, which is the latest player on the digital space, sort of a competitor or successor, if you will, to Comixology. So we're going to be looking at doing some kind of newsletter or review or comparison or something very soon, where we kind of step through Global Comics, tell you what you think, what works, what doesn't, do we like it or not? Is it worth your time to look into? And we'll hopefully have something on that one very shortly. So stay tuned for that. Regarding the reviews from last week, we had a big bunch, but which is the winner? Which is the big video winner of next week? Void Rivals number 7. Not a big surprise. The Energon universe is killing it. Skybound, which is the imprint run by Robert Kirkman, being published and distributed through Image, is doing everything they absolutely positively can to make sure that their acquisition of the Hasbro license is presenting the absolute best work. Now, we did have some announcements this week where there are 2 other miniseries that are coming out under that same Hasbro imprint through Skybound, which is Scarlet by Kelly Thompson and Destro by Dan Waters, 2 T's. I'll be honest with you, that sends up a little bit of a flag, because we've read both and reviewed both of Kelly Thompson and Dan Waters' work, primarily through our partnership with Weird Science. And, just maybe not the best work, maybe not top tier. Now, admittedly, that could be because they lack the strong editorial oversight that is sorely lacking in DC and Marvel, primarily DC right now. So I'm at least confident that Robert Kirkman is not going to let a comic go out that's below standards. So we'll see. Maybe that's this trick. Maybe Kelly Thompson, Dan Waters just need a stronger, firmer editorial hand, and we'll know. Who knows? We'll see where that goes. But hopefully that'll pick up. And we'll pick it up, of course. We'll review it, of course. And if that's the secret, then we know that DC is the master of its own demise, so to speak. Or at least the reason that the quality is so poor is because of the lack of editorial oversight. But we'll see. They'll get a fair shake, and hopefully it'll turn out okay. Now let's talk about the reviews that are coming up for next week. We have 2 indie submissions. One is called Finale, and the other is called Waking Life book 1 or number 1 if you choose. We have Canyon Monster number 2 from Blood Moon, Dead King Volume 2 number 3 from Red 5, and here we go. Big week for both Dynamite and Image. In Image, we have Transformers number 6. That's going to be the one to watch probably for next week. And Fish Flies number 5 from Jeff Lemire. On the Dynamite side of things, we have Thundercats number 2. Number 1 was a hit, or at least it sold incredibly well, especially for Dynamite. We'll see if number 2 can take what they've started and continue the trend. For Zenescope, we have True Horror Mysteries, The Babysitting Killer, which is I guess, a new series or a new kind of title grouping for Zenescope. So we'll see how that goes. Next one is a maybe. We have Bloodshot Unleashed Reloaded number 1 from Valiant and Alien Books. Their ability to distribute comics for us to review has been really spotty, probably because they're still trying to get their new organization structure laid out. And so we may or may not get our hands on it. If we do, we'll review it. If we don't, we'll just defer it to a later date if we ever do get a hold of it. Onward, we have The Agent number 4 from Ablaze, Skeeters number 4 from Mad Cave. That one's been fun. A Legacy of Violence number 11 also from Mad Cave. That's the penultimate issue in Cullen Bunn's Nazi brainwashed serial killer series. And that's been, it said it's ups and downs, but that's the penultimate issue, so that's coming out. And then we have Centaurs Volume 1, also from Ablaze Publishing, but their manga branch. So that's what we've got coming up this week. So thank you very much for joining. Appreciate you. I'm glad you came along. Sorry for getting all weepy and messy at the start of this, but we feel because we care. And I want you to know we care. And hopefully you care too. And with that, you have a great Monday. This is Gabe Hernandez, your publisher at EIC for Comical Opinions. Talk to you soon.